So the first Saturday of May is something known as Free Comic Book Day. It's something that I've always enjoyed, especially in LA where there's a multitude of comic book shops. It was one of those days where I always took it off and I would drive to maybe 10 different comic book shops to just go, because a lot of comic book shops did Free Comic Book Day right. Now Free Comic Book Day is something that is dying, and this video popped up into my YouTube feed and I really want to react to it because there's multiple reasons, but one of them is it's sad to see comic book shops continuously closing. But the second portion of this video that caught my attention was it says that East Bay shop where Free Comic Book Day began loses lease. That means somehow this comic book shop is being basically promoted as the one comic book shop that started Free Comic Book Day.
Around the world, an annual event that began right here in the Bay Area.
But the man who started it says the story of his beloved shop is evolving right along with the characters that fill its shelves. John Ramos has the story.
Yeah! It's cold and wet in Concord, but hundreds of people have lined up outside for Free Comic Book Day at the place that started it all. And while it may be the end of an era, the owner says it's also the start of something new.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God.
All right, let's get this line moving. Happy Free Comic Book Day, everyone. Yeah.
And I love that about Free Comic Book Day. Certain comic book shops do it right. They have raffles, they have like events, they have sketch pads for everyone to draw something, grab bags. They have all kinds of cool stuff, man. They make it very fun and exciting. And the thing about Free Comic Book Day that people don't realize is that it was really started as a way of creating new comic book readers. And not only that, but introducing old comic book readers to new titles. Things you wouldn't normally put $1 onto, but then you might pick it up and take it home. I remember that's how I actually got one of the first issues for Hip Hop Family Tree was through a Free Comic Book Day. Valiant was another one that I remember getting one from Free Comic Book Day, and I was like, holy shit, this Valiant shit seems pretty tight. And I ended up buying a whole bunch of Valiants throughout. This year, because I live in the mountains now, there's no comic book shop near me, and all the ones that were an hour and 30 minutes away, we're not doing Free Comic Book Day, which deserves its own separate video. Why aren't comic book shops doing Free Comic Book Day? There has to be some sort of reason, and it has to be monetary. And it's just something more where I think the distributors aren't really looking out for the comic book retail shops.
When Joe Field opened his Flying Colors comic book shop in Concord in 1987, the long line wasn't in front of his store. And nobody was coming into my shop. They were all going next door to Baskin Robbins for a free scoop night. I thought, come on, the only thing cooler than ice cream is comics. So in 2001, he wrote to the publishing industry suggesting a comic book giveaway day to bring new customers into the stores. And boy, did it work. Now, just like in Concord, more than 1 million people arrive at stores worldwide to get special edition comics produced just for the event. And we've been helped by all these big budget movies and TV shows and whatnot. But honestly, we always tell people, as good as the stories are on the big screen, nothing compares to the great stories that have been told in the comics. And while the characters never seem to age, the fan base has. Field says his clientele now averages in their 40s.
And that's a problem. That's legitimately one of the biggest problems I think facing comic book retailers is that they're trying to continuously fall on the big two and continuously giving people the same two characters. And so the idea that like everybody's gonna adopt Superman and Batman and everyone's gonna adopt the Avengers, and it gets played out. And the idea that a lot of these comic book retailers aren't really curating and bringing in new things for readers is one of the main aspects that I see is that, you know, retailers can do, and that could potentially lead to a better result than what's occurring.
Ron Pond was the first in line to select his 5 free issues.
For me, I mean, I read comic books since I was a kid, so it's really just the joy of the stories and everything else.
Heidi Madeira was drawn as a young girl to Josie and the Pussycats, a rock group that solved mysteries in their spare time.
They were an empowered all-girl group that were going on really cool adventures, and they got to travel, and so everything that I wanted to be growing up.
But just like the superheroes, the shop itself is battling adversity. Flying Colors is losing its lease in favor of a bagel shop, making this the last Free Comic Book Day here. It's hard to imagine this could be happening at a place so special, it drew a personal visit in 2013 by the originator of the Marvel Universe, the late Stan Lee.
I remember when he opened the shop, and I felt very sentimental about coming again.
That's crazy. I don't know how many comic book shops Stan Lee has visited, but then this Flying Colors really does sound like something that's a part of comic book history. And it's sad to see that they're losing their lease there. I don't know what happened or if this video is going to talk about the reasoning why. Losing the lease doesn't necessarily mean they're going out. It just means that the landlords are asking for more money. And the way a lease works, the way it worked when I had the restaurant, was basically you are grandfathered in for a certain portion at a certain price, but then after that time period they can raise it on you. And it can be just that they are trying to raise it on them to an amount that they just cannot pay or cannot see themselves paying, and are probably looking at other options. It sounds like they still have the right though to continue the lease. It doesn't sound like the landlord told them no. And what that means is that at the end of that time period that you set yourself up for, potentially you could say, I do want it still, but the landlord could say, well, I don't want you as a tenant anymore.
This day was sentimental as well, and seeing the crowds inside and out was bittersweet for Joe.
Oh, it's kind of surreal today. Is it emotional? Yeah. These are my people.
The Flying Colors story will continue, as will Free Comic Book Day, just at a new, as yet undisclosed location. And Joe has little doubt that his customers will follow him. But it's always hard to see a good story end, even when you know another one is on the way.
The first Free Comic Book Day was held in 2002 to coincide with the release of the first Spider-Man movie. Since then, the annual event has been used to cross-promote the release of other superhero films in the summer.
That's a very interesting tidbit. I didn't realize that Free Comic Book Day is done kind of as a precursor to the big blockbuster summer events. Every Free Comic Book Day, I remember there being like, if Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out, there'd be the free Guardians of the Galaxy comic. And so this is one of those things that I didn't realize that there was a capitalist correlation to that. So I don't know where Flying Colors is gonna go, but I definitely plan to try to make a visit out there. Definitely very interesting, and I would love to find out more about kind of the business aspect of it all and what's going on. I really do wonder if they got outbid or if they just can't keep the bid that they're asking. But that's all I got for you guys today, man. If you guys enjoyed these videos, go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Lights.